It's time for my conference championship predictions. We've got a loaded slate full of playoff implications ahead of us. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Georgia, Bama in the SEC title. Earlier this year, Bama marches into Athens and delivers a shocker to the Bulldogs. Now they have their rematch here. Kirby Smart 1-7 versus the Tide all time. Now 0-2 versus Kalen DeBoer. So you can't tell me that there's not something psychological at play here, and you can't tell me that Kalen DeBoer and the staff doesn't know how to beat Georgia. They clearly do. I think they're going to come out with the right game plan. I think despite Georgia being the hotter team right now, it's just not going to matter. Alabama's going to go out there, win the turnover battle, win time of possession, and I think they're going to pull off a stunner. In the Big 12 title, we got another rematch. Texas Tech shellacked BYU last time we saw these guys play. It was a 29-7 beatdown. However, a few things working in BYU's favor. In this one, the crowd split's going to be a little bit more even. BYU fans travel really well. Also, they lost the turnover battle 3-0. You can argue that Texas Tech is really good at forcing turnovers, but I expect them to, at the very least, take care of the football a little better in this one, make this one a little bit more competitive. However, Texas Tech has been a wagon ever since Morton got healthy, and so I don't think they're going to have any issues here. I think they win comfortably. Ohio State, Indiana is really interesting. The Buckeyes have not been tested in a very long time. They have been blowing through their competition. And Indiana, on the other hand, we've seen them get tested versus Penn State and versus Iowa and survive a couple of scares there. Just because of that fact, I feel like you can't rock against Ohio State in a spot like this. So I'm going to pick the Buckeyes. In the ACC title, we've got Duke versus Virginia. I think this is going to be a roster talent game, and Duke has the more talented roster. Yes, they have lost more games this year, including some awful losses, but none of that matters between the white lines. They literally lost to Virginia earlier this year, but I think this is finally a spot where they bow their necks, they avoid some turnovers, and maybe they force some from Virginia, and they get a win based on how talented they are. North Texas at Tulane is basically a play-in game. Winner is in the playoffs, loser is out, and you've got both head coaches basically with one foot out the door. So it's going to be a huge sense of urgency for both programs to take advantage of this moment. I think it's going to be pretty high scoring, but I actually think Tulane is able to answer, especially the fact that they're at home here. I think they get the win. I was surprised to see them come out as slight underdogs in this game. Troy and James Madison are going at it. James Madison is at home. Troy has really sputtered down the stretch here. It is a huge spread in James Madison's favor, and I think that is for good reason. I think the Dukes win this one. And finally, rounding it out, I think the Broncos take care of business in the Mountain West title game. They have been very sloppy and very clunky at times, but their elite running game is not going to be stopped by UNLV consistently enough, despite terrible quarterback play. Even if UNLV stacks the box, the Broncos are just too physical. Jacksonville State, I think, wins again versus Kennesaw State. It's the second time the Owls have had to go on the road to play Jacksonville State this year. They lost last time. I don't think anything necessarily changes this time. And then finally, Western Michigan and Miami of Ohio at a neutral site. I think for a second straight year, Miami of Ohio loses the rematch in the MAC title game. Give me the Broncos to pull off the upset.